Hi everyone. I'm just going to hang on a minute and see if anyone is around to hop on. I wanted to today speak about what holds us back. So I've met a fair few people in my time that feel that they have things holding them back, and it may be that they hear these inner critical thoughts, and as a result they don't take action. So I just really wanted to talk about that and explain how you can work around it, really. So what is your inner critic? Well, if you look at it, that it's a little bit like a risk department in a business. So your inner critic's job is to keep you safe. It doesn't care whether what it's saying is true or not. Its only mission in life is to keep you safe. And we often find that the inner critic will appear when we're about to move out of our safety comfort zone and about to do something a little bit out there, a bit challenging and a bit scary. And that tends to be when it appears. So how can you recognise that it's your inner critic as opposed to your rational thought? Well, there's a few qualities of your inner critic. So generally, you might not recognise all of these, but you'll almost certainly recognise some. So the first one is it's generally harsh and mean. You wouldn't speak to somebody like that normally, but your inner critic will do that. It's normally binary, so it's black and white. So either something's possible or it's not. There's no middle ground with that. It appears as a voice of reason that actually, oh, you're much better if you do things this way. You're not ready yet. I think that's a big one that a lot of us have. So it tells you that you need more time, or you need more experience, or you need more qualifications. You're just not ready yet. Another way you can recognise it, it will tell you that you're not good at this thing. And often that can be around technical tasks or things like maths or that kind of thing, sales negotiation. And it will just say to you, you're no good at this. It also appears as body perfection. So it can be critical thoughts either on your appearance, your weight, your age, say things to you like, oh, you look fat in that, or oh, look at your arms, or what do you think, who do you think you're kidding, kind of thing. The inner critic will run almost on autopilot. So rather than just being one thought that will come in, it's like a tape. So it's running on auto and goes on and on rather than just one thought popping into your head, and almost like a broken record. The inner critic can be irrational, but very, very persistent, and often will throw a 1-2 punch. So it will criticise you, saying, oh, look at everyone else is doing well, look at how they're doing, but then will follow up with shaming you for that. Oh, get a grip, you know, these other people are doing this. So that's the 1-2 punch. It'll criticise you first of all and then shame you for not doing that. And often your inner critic will take its inspiration from lots of areas in your life. So it may take the form of words of a family member, or maybe friends, or perhaps your work colleagues, or even a boss. It could have been something that's been said in the past. So it will take its inspiration from there. The critic has no interest in evidence gathering. It's very, very black and white. And you may be sort of thinking to yourself, well, why do I have an inner critic? Well, it can be useful. There are times we do need to stop and question ourselves, and we might not be ready. but sometimes it gets overdeveloped and it sort of goes too far. It's trying to protect you from hurt or failure or disappointment. It won't simply say, don't do that, because it knows that you won't listen. So your inner critic can get quite crafty, and rather than just saying don't do that, it will craft something that's a little stronger than that, like you're not ready, you don't know enough yet, which you then can accept as truth often. So how can you recognise if it's your inner critic as opposed to your realistic thinking? Well, the inner critic will make definite pronouncements about things. It either is or it isn't. Whereas realistic thinking you'll ask yourself curious questions. The inner critic has no interest at all in evidence gathering, whereas realistic thinking will look for evidence to support what you're looking at. The inner critic speaks in black and white, whereas the rational thinking is looking at it in a more complex way, really. The inner critic will simply give you yes/no questions, whereas the rational thinking will ask open-ended questions. Well, not just is this possible, yes/no, but how is this possible? And you'll explore it further. The inner critic tends to focus on lack, whereas your rational thinking will focus on the solutions. So if you recognise maybe just some of these things, how can you help yourself going forward? Well, the first thing is to recognise that it's your inner critic talking. And that is the big thing, really. If you can recognise that it's that, you have the power to move forward from that. But if you can ask yourself the question when you hear that voice, is this true? And it's a good way to handle it is to say, thank you for that information. However, I've got this. And just to decide that it's not the truth and to follow the direction that you want to follow. So I hope that's been useful for you. See you again soon. Bye for now.